So a few weeks ago, I got sick, and my friend Kelly gave me some elderberry syrup. Now this stuff is super expensive at the store, but she made it herself and made it at home. Today I'm gonna show you how to do it so you can save money and make yourself well if you're sick. Check it out. Hey guys, so this is my friend Kelly, and she is gonna show us how to make a decoction, is that right? Of elderberry?
So
All right.
you call it an elderberry syrup once it's done.
Perfect. She's much smarter than I am, so. All right.
Better educated.
So you're gonna give us a rundown on the ingredients and what we need, right?
Yes.
To do this? Okay,
Yes.
so let's check that out.
Okay, so we are going to be doing our measurements in ounces. So this is basically a conglomeration of a ton of different elderberry syrup recipes that I've used in the past. You'll see I have a lot of different ingredients in mine. Some are a lot more bare bones, some have a lot more ingredients, some extra ingredients that we can talk about, but primarily right now we're just going to talk about making a elderberry syrup that is best for immunity and for prevention and if you are sick. So first off, we have all of our ingredients here. Elderberry is the first one and the primary one. If you want to just make an elderberry syrup and you just want elderberries in it, you can simply do elderberries, leave all the other ingredients out, and proceed with the recipe as follows. You don't have to adjust the liquid or anything, and you'll have a plain elderberry syrup. I like mine a little bit more interesting, so we're going to go with that. With our elderberry is an immune powerhouse, has tons of vitamins in it, tons of immune boosting compounds, so this one's great. You can take it for 3 to 4 months at a time continuously. If you've taken it for about 4 months, you probably want to give yourself maybe a week break, just to allow your immune system to restabilize, and then you can start over again. So you can really take this pretty much year round, and it is safe for breastfeeding and pregnant women as well. So, and for children, it does have honey in it, so if your child's under the age of 1, you would probably not want to give that to them, but I give this to my toddler. He's 14 months. So he gets a little spoonful. And our dosages at the end, we'll talk about that once we get to the end of the video. So this is our elderberry. And we're gonna start out by measuring out 8 ounces of elderberry. So this is these are new elderberries I found. They're from the Monterey Bay Herb Co. And if you can see here, wildcrafted, that's really important. Elderberries typically run about $30 a pound if you try to buy organic elderberries at like Amazon and stuff. This, I think, if I recall correctly, was $13.50 a pound.
Wow,
so
that's good.
Much better price. And the thing is, you really want organic elderberries if you're buying from if you're buying farmed elderberries. These are wildcrafted. That means you're not paying for the organic label, but they are going to be just the same quality as if they were organic.
What does wildcrafted mean?
Wildcrafted means that someone went out and foraged them from the wild. So there are these like national preserves where you'll be able to find elderberries in the wild, and someone was paid to go out there and pick them, but they didn't have to get any organic certification, but they also weren't sprayed with pesticides because they weren't farmed.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
So
pick from the wild, basically.
Yes, so I prefer to get wildcrafted if I can, because that is so much cheaper. All right. So we have 8 ounces of elderberries here. Okay.
That's 8.1, Kelly. Just letting you know.
Could actually do anywhere between 7 and 8 ounces. This is not, so the way we treat this is more important than the exact amount. Same thing with dosing. You don't need to take an exact amount of this. It's more about consistency and how we extract things.
Yeah, that's interesting because you said something to me when I was sick. You said take this every 30 minutes. It's better to take it multiple times throughout the day than to take it
So a lot of people feel like herbal medicine doesn't work because they take herbal medicine, they take a dose of it, they don't notice any difference. With herbal medicine, you actually it's better to take a small dose every 15 to 30 minutes if you have an acute system. For like just prevention, I just take a tablespoon every day. But if you're sick, you'd want to break that tablespoon down into like a sip every 15 minutes. So if I have something like, I have a headache and I have this tincture over here that I use for pain. If I have a headache and the first dose of the pain relief doesn't work, I will take I usually take 3 dropperfuls. I'll take an extra dropperful every 15 minutes. And after about an hour, that should be cleared up. Awesome. I have a sinus relief thing I use for decongestant, same thing.
Got it.
And so you have to be patient with herbal medicine and more consistent with it.
Kelly, are you Amish?
Not even around.
Okay. Just wondering.
So, next up, okay, this is astragalus. So this is, if you know Amy Fewell, the herbalist, I'll show you her book. She's a great herbalist that's currently still active. This is inspired by her. What she puts in her elderberry syrup is, one of the things she puts in is astragalus. And astragalus is one of the few herbs, you can't smell it through the video, but it has a very strong Chinese medicine smell.
Oh wow, yeah.
But you don't really taste it once it's mixed with other things. Astragalus is one of the few herbs that has been deeply and excessively scientifically proven to be antiviral.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
so it's a fantastic antiviral. And so this combined with elderberry is just a magnificent immune powerhouse. The other things that I'm going to put in, we're going to talk about, that's 1.5 ounces, okay?
Let me see the front of the bag so I can see what the name looks like.
And this is Star West Botanicals, but I just bought another batch from Monterey Bay Herb Co.
Got it.
There's a key here. See how it says C/S?
Yes.
That means cut and sifted. Do not get powdered astragalus. And I'm about to put ginger in here too, and cloves. Those are things you can often get powdered. Do not put anything powdered in your elderberry syrup. It will be so gritty and you will hate your life. If you've ever tried to swallow gritty liquid, it's not a good day. You don't want to do it.
Sand in your water. Got it.
Exactly. So always use search for cut and sifted. I made the mistake of getting some ground horsetail in this recent order, and I'm really kicking myself because I wish I didn't have it ground. Okay, so this is our 1.5 ounces of astragalus. Gonna go in here too.
How many ounces or what is this?
That is a, I think it's a 4 quart or 6 quart pot potentially. Honestly, I'm using this pot. It's not gonna have enough water to fill it. I'm using it because it's my widest bottomed pot, and you're going to be evaporating this, and we'll talk about that when we get to the decoction.
Got it.
So I'm using the widest pot I can because it'll take forever to evaporate.
Using the scientific words on me.
Yes.
Decoction. I don't know
Decoction. I'll define decoction. All right, we're going to put 1/2 ounce of cinnamon in here. Cinnamon, you really do want it to be organic, but I'll be honest, this is the first time I've had organic cinnamon to work with. And I'm using chips, but you can just put a stick in. The cinnamon has some medical properties, but for me, I put it in because it makes it taste so nice. So this is, I've actually never used the chips. So we are going to see if this gets extra cinnamon. I actually might put less cinnamon than I would. I may just put a sprinkle in. Honestly, I know it's not very scientific, but I usually just put a stick in, and this smells way stronger. Okay.
So you're just kind of sprinkling it in there.
Sprinkling
Got
a
it.
little bit in. About the equivalent of a single cinnamon stick. All right, then you can use dried ginger, and I actually have dried ginger in my stock, but I have a ton. I'm making a ginger bug, which is a fermented ginger thing, and so I have a ton of fresh ginger. So I'm just going to throw this ginger in here. I'm going to get a knife and cut this piece up. So the ginger does is the ginger is great for your digestion. And if you have an upset stomach, like if you have like stomach bug, you know how when you have congestion, you tend to get an upset stomach. This ginger will really soothe, and that's really nice. So you can use dried ginger, or you can just use fresh. If you use dried ginger, you probably want to use about 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce. The dried ginger, I've never actually used dried ginger, though I have it. But most people have fresh ginger on hand. Again, it's nice if you use it organic. Remember, we're going to be boiling this down, and I'll get to this when I talk about the water as well. Anything that you use and that could potentially have toxins, when you're reducing it down, it's going to concentrate those toxins. So everything being organic, pesticide-free, and the water being filtered is important.
Okay.
All right, and then the cloves. If you really dislike the taste of cloves, leave the cloves out, because they can be a little bit strong.
Really strong, right?
But it tastes very Christmassy. I'm gonna put a little less than 1/2 ounce in.
Oh yeah,
So these are
good.
whole cloves. And so what the cloves also have some antibacterial and antiviral properties, and they'll both boost your immune system.
Sweet.
Yeah, and they add the flavors. But the key things here are the elderberries, and if you only had to add 2 things to the syrup, I would do the elderberries and the astragalus, because those are the immune powerhouses. Everything else has some assistance, but but they're primarily flavoring.
I definitely felt better like the next day, for sure.
It's magical.
It's really awesome. Yep.
Last thing, we have elder flowers. I'm not going to put these in because I'm making a maintenance syrup for prevention. if you have a fever, so these are the flowers that the elderberries then come from.
Oh, got
These
it.
are also wildcrafted. If you have a fever and you're making a syrup while you have a fever, or something like that where you have aches and pains and chills, you put a little bit of elderflower in. You have to do some research about how much, because I don't usually make this when I'm actually sick, so I haven't done that. But you can add elderflower to it, or make a separate tincture with elderflower if you prefer. But the elderflower won't break your fever down, so it's not a febrifuge, but it will cause you to sweat out the fever, so your fever will break sooner.
Okay.
So it really helps the fever do its thing. And we're herbalists, fevers are a good thing. And one more thing about the elderflower, you do not put this in right now. If you were to put it in, you put it in after it's cooling, because if you boil the elderflower, you're going to get rid of the chemical properties.
Okay.
Whereas what we're doing right now, we're about to make what I've referred to a couple times as a decoction. So there are a few things you can do with herbal medicine. So an infusion is if you make tea where you pour boiling water over like a tea or something herbal to steep it, right?
Right.
That's called an infusion. Now a decoction, so you don't usually boil it. You wouldn't typically boil your tea, right? You boil the water first and then you let it steep off the heat, correct?
Yep.
So that would be an infusion. A decoction is where you specifically take the compounds and you bring it to a boil and you reduce it by half. So you boil it over the stove until it's reduced and concentrated. And so these particular herbs we're using right now need to be boiled in order to extract all of the good components.
And how many quarts or cups are you doing?
I'm doing 8 cups, which is 2 quarts. And we're gonna boil this down until it's 1 quart. And then we're gonna add about 2 cups of honey, so we'll end up in total with around 6 cups of honey. Okay, and so if you're using it on a regular basis, 3 cups of syrup, so which is, I usually make about 3 cups for our family, will last about a month and a half to 2 months. All right, now we're gonna turn this on. We're gonna wait for it to come to a boil. And then we're just gonna let it boil, boil, boil.
Okay, Kelly, do us a favor and give us a rundown on the ingredients and measurements.
Okay, so this is my recipe. And so my ingredients are going to be 8 ounces of elderberries. And then we put 1.5 ounces of astragalus in. Those are your 2 key components. Then for flavoring and some other components, I have about a 2-inch chunk of ginger that I've chopped up. I have a little less than ½ ounce of cloves. And I have a sprinkle of cinnamon chips, or you could put 1 cinnamon stick in. Again, do not use powdered forms of any of these things. You will regret it deeply. And then you're going to add 2 quarts of water to this. Then it's going to be boiled down until, and sometimes you'll have to strain it. So you're going to strain it into this measure. See if you have 4 cups strained. You're going to boil it down, strain it, and then keep checking if it hasn't reached 4 cups. You want between 4 and 5 cups. And once it's boiled down to that point, then you let that cool, and then you add raw honey. Can I put my Azure link in the description of the video?
You sure can.
All right. So I get almost all my stuff from Azure Market. This is raw berry wildflower honey. Right now, this raw honey has been selling for about $35 for a gallon, which is 12 pounds.
Wow.
I fly through this stuff. I currently have 2 right there behind you on the table, and in the other room, I have 2 more gallons of this honey because
$35 for how much?
an entire gallon, 12 pounds. It's a fantastic price.
That's a great deal.
And I've checked it, like it's actual real honey.
Ooh.
And it's not organic, so they do have organic honey available if you prefer it. I use so much honey.
Well, it was healthy until you put the honey in, Kelly.
Yeah. This raw honey is sourced from the U.S., so it's not going to have, like, if you get honey that's sourced from other countries, it tends to come from China and is cut with corn syrup, even if it doesn't say it comes from China.
Cut with corn syrup.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Which you don't want.
No,
So
we do.
this is actually this is properly sourced. So I'll put you can find my Azure link in the description if you are not an Azure member. I love Azure for a lot of stuff, all my organic grains, honey, some cheeses. You always want to price check. They're not always the cheapest thing out there, but for a lot of things they are. The kicker is their organic raisins, which are cheaper by the pound than conventional raisins you can get at the grocery store. So I love my dried fruit from Azure as well. Okay guys, so I'm going to give you a rundown of a couple books that I think would be useful in your studies. So if you're a really beginner herbalist, Rosemary Gladstar is kind of like the mother of the herbalist movement and getting people more interested in using herbs for medicine. And so she has this really flashy book that has, I don't mean flashy in a bad way, I guess I mean more, it's very colorful. It's really nice, very nicely presented. It's got tons, it has each herb, and then it has a lot of recipes moving from medicinal to simply culinary that are really nice. So she has all of these different herbs. And so this one's really fun if you're a beginner. And if you're gone a little bit farther in your herbalism, I didn't find it to be particularly helpful because the other book that I have that I'm going to show you, I'd already learned all from it. But this is great if you're a beginner or if you have a child that's interested in herbalism, fantastic because this is very easy to read. The only caution that I would say is if you are going to be, doing this, in my opinion, if you're going to be using this book and you are potentially pregnant or breastfeeding, just be careful and use your own research and knowledge to check what things she says are safe or not, because a lot of things she says in here are safe for pregnant and breastfeeding women, and they are in the dosages that she recommends, but they can be dangerous in other dosages. So honestly, that's true of all herbalism. You really want to look up a monograph if you are going to be, if you want to check. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, can't be too careful, always double check your herbs.
What's a monograph?
A monograph is, if you go Google online and you go say Elderberry monograph, you'll find scientific documents that go over all the things that could possibly go wrong, all of the known science basically compiled in the document.
Got it.
You want to show them how it's boiling away? Boiling away. And it'll boil, takes a good bit of time. It'll probably be another 20 minutes or so.
Cool.
Now this is my #1 book for anyone who's interested in herbalism. This is The Homesteader's Herbal Companion by Amy K. Fuel. She is the president of the Homesteaders of American Foundation. She is just an all-around fantastic person, a great Christian woman, and she is really, she does a lot of education on herbalism and homesteading, and this book is fantastic. So she starts out with talking about how to grow herbs and what are the best uses of herbs. She has an entire section that is very nicely done with her reasons to use them or not to use them. I haven't found any contraindications for her health notices. They all seem to be correct, which I would expect from her. And so it's really good for growing herbs. She helps you choose like what herbs you want to grow, because that's one of the main things. She's like, don't try to grow everything. Here's what are your primary ones depending on your usage. And then she has a bunch of recipes at the back. And this is just an awesome book.
Do me a favor, show me the cover of the other book real quick.
Yes. And then here's this one. This is my birthday present this year.
Nice.
So this one is The Modern Herbal Dispensatory, and so by Thomas Easley and Stephen Horn, a medicine making guide. So this one has a lot more in-depth detail about the ways we prepare herbs, how we use them, and about the herbs themselves. There's basically treatment for almost anything you can imagine. And then it goes into detail in alphabetical order of all the possible herbs. There are herbs in here I've never heard of before.
Like elderberry?
All right, see, it's boiling away. Look how beautiful that color is.
That's nice.
I'm gonna get a spoon and stir it. It's boiling away. It's decocting, which means it's both boiling and it is evaporating.
And it's okay to be boiling. It doesn't lose anything in the boil.
No, it actually extracts the components. And so do be careful if you add anything else to your elderberry syrup, like elderflower or anything like that. You can doctor it up however you want, as at liberty, but make sure that if you're adding other herbs to it, you check and see what they need for their medicinal properties. So the reason why we're going to wait to add the honey is because the honey needs to be raw to actually be good for you. So it needs to be cool enough that it won't get rid of the raw components in the honey. And I would add the elderflower later too, because the elderflower components would be destroyed by boiling this method.
Oh, I see. So if you added it now, it would destroy the medicinal
If you added the
components.
elderflower, it would be pointless.
Got it.
But all of these things in here, and it's honestly not that hard to have like a golden rule, is that with the decoction, all of these things are hard and dry, right? You notice when I put them in there. So things that are hard and dry will often need to be decocted. Things that are more like a leaf will need a more gentle method of extracting compounds, which makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So this has been boiling for about 15 minutes, you'd say? It might
20?
have 20 maybe. I actually got more dehydrated than I would even have normally have done it, but I was putting the toddler down, so life happens.
And Colin wasn't helping.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I was
Colin
not
doesn't,
helping.
Colin doesn't have the equipment to put the toddler to bed.
That is true.
We are in the presence of a movie star, by the way, folks.
Yeah,
Hold on.
That's right. You
I'll-
recognize these.
Yes,
He's also the president of Partner Horse.
I'll explain in a
so
minute.
There you go. Alright. Get all this good stuff out of here.
Steamed up the camera.
Oh, oops. Alright. Now, obviously, we want to squish and squish and squish. Get all that good juice out of here. I'll bring it right under 1 quart. Nice and strong.
Can you do anything with that mash afterwards?
About to get to that, man.
Okay. Just jump in the time.
So, most people say, okay, then you're done. Elderberries are expensive, man. All this stuff is expensive. Look at all that. So here's what I do. I chuck this back in here, and maybe I'm wrong. I think you could decoct it back again, probably make a decent elderberry syrup. But what I do is I add some more water to it, about another quart, 6 cups. And I re-steep it for just a couple minutes. I don't boil it back down again. And I use it as juice to make gummies.
Oh, smart.
In case you want to know what that looks like, this is a thing of elderberry gummies.
Those haven't been eaten because I didn't sweeten them enough. So
Ooh,
I'm
can-
going to
can we
remake
cut a
them
little
with this juice
Yeah,
and
sure.
put some more
Show you.
honey in them, because those. David also likes them when I make them sweet enough, and I do make those sweet enough, and David is like, ew, no. David's my
This
father,
is,
not my husband.
but I'll go uno too. But this would be an elderberry gummy.
I haven't put
You
enough
can give them
honey
to
in
babies,
it.
and you can also eat them yourself.
Babies over the age of 1, they got honey.
Baby over the age of 1.
Oh, they're pretty good.
Uh-huh.
But apparently not sugary enough for our toddler, which I totally understand.
Can I have them? No, no, put them away yet, man.
All right.
And I use grass-fed beef gelatin, so they're great for your gut too.
No.
I got it, Colin. I'm just handling the camera too.
Yeah, well,
it's whatever.
I didn't know how you're a very independent man.
So for
I don't want to steal your thunder. Do you want the whole chunk?
Yes.
Okay.
When I do this, I bring it back up to a boil, and then I put a lid on it, let it set for a few minutes. It will get way too overpoweringly flavored of clove if you let it sit for much longer than that. So be warned. But
So
look
be
look
warned.
how dark that juice is again already. I really think you could boil it back down and make another batch of syrup.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I just have a few different things to do. But look how much mushier the things are this time around. But look at all that.
Elderberries are tiny.
They are. And you have to cook them. You can't eat them raw because they have compounds in them that are deactivated by heat that will make you not a happy camper.
On the toilet. Forever.
Yeah, I think it causes like lots of pain. I don't know how. I don't think it's much more toxic than that. Then this, we got about 4 cups. We're gonna add 2 cups of honey to this, but not until it's cool enough that it like is below 100 degrees.
Because it will do
Otherwise,
something to the
you're
honey.
gonna cook. It's raw honey, and your honey's pointless if it's not.
Come on, Colin.
I'm telling the audience. I'm leaving
Yeah,
her to
stop.
explain it to the audience.
Stop buying pasteurized honey, y'all.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Here comes the soapbox.
Pasteurized honey is just sugar. Raw honey, and then of course maple syrup, which isn't raw, but maple syrup. There are 2 sweeteners that have massive amounts of minerals and vitamins and electrolytes in them.
So you know it's the good honey if it's got a comb in it, and if you find a bee or some bugs in there, then it's really the good stuff. That's how you know it's really a living bees crawling around it. That's how you know. I'm just asking, mostly for the audience, but a little bit for myself. have you ever considered, or would you ever consider using a sweetener of maple syrup instead of honey?
Oh, for the elderberry syrup?
Yeah.
That is a great question. Honey has preservative properties, maple syrup does not. So the honey is going to make this so that it will last pretty, like, I haven't found it to ever go bad in the fridge. But we use it up within probably 2 or 3 months. If you were to use maple syrup, and you keep it in the fridge, it'd probably be okay. In order to make a proper syrup, you're actually supposed to add some sugar to it at this point. I never do that because the last thing I need if I'm sick or trying to fight a sickness is more sugar. But the honey is just what I mean. You can add sugar if you want to make it shelf stable.
Today.
But I'd rather have it in my fridge than have it be shelf stable.
All right.
But should you be off grid or something, add some sugar to it and that will make it sweet enough that you can store it just in a jar on your countertop. So we have here, this is a 8-cup measure. And if it stops swaying, you'll see we're just below 4 cups. You want to add 2 cups of honey to this. You want to be about 50% honey.
So how did you know that it was cool enough?
Well, I just touched it. If it doesn't burn you, you're good. Like
smart.
if it's just, it just needs to be hot enough that it won't like pasteurize the honey. And that's around 150. If it's like bath water temperature, you're good. You don't want it to be cold because then the honey won't dissolve as fast. All right, that's annoying. Let's pull out the new jar. Remember, guys, Azure standard.
Link in the description.
Link in bio.
Wow.
I just want to eat that entire
I
spoon of
know,
honey.
right?
Honey's awesome, isn't it?
Colin, while we're watching Kelly do this absurdly long honey pour,
honey thing.
tell us about,
Okay.
show us your hands.
I don't know what to do with my hands. So here are my hands. They look, okay, but they're actually very famous. I did body double work in Atlanta for a couple years. So basically what that is in the film industry, if they don't want to have to pay an actor to just see their hand move, then they'll pay me like $10 to do the same thing. And so if you ever watch like a Fast and Furious movie where Vin Diesel's moving the thing and you just see his hands, that's like someone like me. So I did that for a bunch of movies. I'm a hand.
What was the movie?
Baby Driver.
Baby Driver.
A lot of this was
Love it.
Was me.
And you just want to make sure you stir it and get it dissolved well. Otherwise, you're going to have untasty elderberry on the top and honey sludge on the bottom.
So Kelly, how long does this last in the fridge?
I've never had it go bad. Maybe use it up somewhere between 6 weeks and 3 months.
So Kelly, that is how many? 6 cups?
6 cups.
Of elderberry syrup. I know it's really expensive at the store. And we've got bags of herbs that we can make a lot more. Give me an estimate of what you think it cost to make that amount.
You're using the herbs that I purchased that are the wildcrafted ones, which are about, the elderberries are your most expensive component because you use the most of them. That was about $7 worth of elderberries. And then I would estimate, let's say it was probably $15 to $20 total. That's a very generous estimate, potentially less than that. So if we have 6 cups here, let's say $18. It's $3 a cup.
$3 per cup.
And if you bought a pint jar at the store, that'd probably be about $15. If you're being really generous, it's probably 50% saving. If you reboil this stuff, you do even better with it. And the stuff you get at the store does not have the astragalus root in it. I'm guessing this probably ran more like $10.
$10 for
all
6
of this,
cups.
for 6 cups.
So yeah, $3.
It's definitely worth making yourself.
No doubt.
Now I'm just gonna put 3 cups in here for you and send you home with it.
Kelly, why don't you tell us about dosages?
All right, so when you're dosing for prevention, so every single day, my husband and I take about a tablespoon. We don't measure it. We get a big soup spoon and put 1 or 2 of those in. We take a lot of other tinctures and supplements. So we just mix it up. This stuff is delicious if you mix it with a little bit of apple juice and some sparkling water. It's because of the spices in it. It's really good. So I'll also drink it like that. You can't overdose on it. It's totally safe. If you're sick, I will mix it in with juice. You can even, my mom mixes it in hot water to make a tea. And you can just sip on it all day long, like I mentioned earlier. So if you're sick, you're going to want to be sipping on it all day long. Just for prevention, I just chug like a tablespoon every evening. And we're adults. So I have a toddler, he's 14 months old. He weighs about 30 pounds. So I give him a little less than a teaspoon because that's about 1/4 of the adult dose. Again, you can't overdose a child either. I wouldn't be worried about that. This stuff is one of the safest things you can take.
Is there a reason you're funneling it in there with that spoon instead of just pouring it in?
Yes, because this cup measure, if I tried to pour it, all of the elderberry syrup's gonna be all over the counter.
Okay.
Is that scientific enough for you?
Yes. Colin, Kelly, thank you so much for sharing your house with me today. I hope that you guys learned something really cool today about making elderberry syrup, making it super cheap, and keep yourself healthy. Remember, whatever you do today, stay adventurous, my friends. Later.